I think I downloaded the wrong Winnie-the-Pooh. The movie starts with doodles of a dude named Chris Robin, who's just vibing through the 100 Acre Wood, when he stumbles upon a crew of bizarre animals that look like they've had a Freaky Friday moment with some humans. Chris, who's apparently never seen a horror movie, decides that these weird creatures are totally BFF material. So he hangs with Eeyore, Owl, Rabbit, Piglet, and the main man, Winnie-the-Pooh. Chris plays the part of their grub hub, delivering munchies that make their bond stronger than a hipster's love for avocado toast. In return, these hybrid beasts start acting more human. They even start using forks, but then Chris had to adult, so he leaves for college and abandons his furry food-reliant squad. With no more food deliveries and winter coming, cue the Game of Thrones theme, things got real dark. The starving critters had no choice but to turn Eeyore into an unhappy meal. This messed them up big time and they went all anti-human, especially hating on Chris. They decided to go full beast mode and forget how to speak human. Fast forward 5 years and Chris is back in the hood with his GF Mary. As they stroll, he asks if she thinks his old talking animal pals are legit. Mary gives him that "I'm humoring you" look and tells him she thinks they're about as real as a unicorn's Tinder profile. Soon enough, they find the creature crib, which looks like it was hit by a hurricane of sadness. Chris gets all worried while Mary starts to get creeped out. She spots a human skull, yikes, and they almost trip over Eeyore's grave. But Chris is still in denial. They reach the old playhouse, which seems way bigger than Chris remembers, and now features a bull skull that screams, "Vacate the premises." Being brave or clueless, take your pick, they head inside. Mary finds a torn up drawing of Chris, and her spidey senses start tingling. But before they can nope out of there, they hear someone coming and hide like it's a game of hide and seek gone wrong. They wait until it's darker than a blackout tattoo before trying to make a break for it. Just when they think they're in the clear, Piglet goes full ninja and puts a metal chain around Mary's neck. Chris tries to bargain, but Piglet's having none of it. Chris hides in terror, only to find himself trapped between a vengeful Pooh and chain-wielding Piglet. Talk about being caught between a rock and a crazy place. The boy sobs like a broken espresso machine, saying he was forced into the brutal world of college. He regrets ghosting them, but honestly, who could resist those student discounts? Despite this, Pooh and Piglet become ride-or-die buddies. Chris realizes that his friends have gone through more changes than his Facebook relationship status, and that he, along with many others, might end up forced fertilizer. News of mysterious disappearances in the forest spread like a meme, and the media warns everyone to stay the heck away from that 100-acre disaster zone. Enter Maria in the middle of a therapy session. She tells the therapist about her life, which is currently more chaotic than a Black Friday sale. The therapist advises her to escape reality for a bit and find her zen in nature. So, like any logical person, Marie and her friends book a cabin in the woods, the notorious 100 Acre Wood. A fantastic spot if you're into terrible decisions. The group of college students arrives at the cabin, which is more pimped out than MTV Cribs, complete with a swimming pool. Jessica, the resident tech hater, demands they surrender their phones like they're in a hostage situation. Time for some good old-fashioned face-to-face bonding. No ghosting allowed. They all laugh about their flaky friend Tina, who's mastered the art of last-minute cancellations. Meanwhile, Tina stands by the 100 Acre Wood sign trying to call her friends and ask for directions like it's 2003. With no reply, she wanders into the forest and bumps into Winnie-the-Pooh, who's less honey-loving and more psycho. She bolts towards an abandoned garage, channeling her inner Usain Bolt. Tina thinks she's safe, but she's more wrong than a flat earther. Pooh gets a hold of her and goes full horror movie mode, turning her into wood chipper confetti. After settling into the mansion, Maria shares a traumatic story with her friends. Let's hope they can stick together and avoid any more run-ins with the bear who's lost his chill. When Maria shares that she's on the upswing, her friends flash cheesy grins, making her wonder if they're secretly a pack of Cheshire cats. Meanwhile, Pooh, taking a page from a darker, less Disney-fied playbook, has Chris suspended from the ceiling of his den. Pooh's punishing him for ghosting their friendship, like a really intense episode of Black Mirror. As Pooh reminisces about the good old days when Chris swore never to abandon him, a tear rolls down his cheek. But much like the weather in England, his emotional state quickly changes to rage. Using strands of Chris's ex-girlfriend's hair, Pooh fashions a whip, proving he's resourceful and mad. Pooh then presents the skeleton of Chris's dearly departed Boo, which leaves him a blubbering mess. Later, while strolling through the woods with a casual human skeleton, Pooh hears a bumping party at the girl's cottage. Meanwhile, Larry's chillaxing in the hot tub, taking selfies for the gram, because let's be real, detoxes never work. Scrolling through her snaps, she notices a creeper in the background. Jumping out of the tub, she searches for the photobomber but comes up empty. Chalking it up to her friend's prankster tendencies, she hops back in. As Lara's vibing in the tub, she doesn't notice Pooh and Piglet's stealthy approach. Suddenly, Piglet channels his inner Jason Bourne, knocking her out with a cloth. When Lara comes to, she's all tied up in a chair with Piglet by her side and Pooh behind the wheel. She pleads for mercy, but Piglet's colder than a polar bear's toenails. signaling Pooh to start the car and go all fast and furious on her noggin. Hearing Lara scream, Alice and Zoe race outside, quickly followed by Marie and Jessica. The girls find the car door wide open and Lara's not-so-photogenic head. Cue the freakout. Rushing back inside, they find a message on the glass doors that basically says, "Get out." Spooked by a sudden crash, they cautiously explore the house, only to find Pooh outside, brandishing a knife like he's auditioning for a horror movie. Oh wait. Realizing they're under siege, Zoe and Alice make a beeline for the kitchen, ready to grab whatever weapons they can find. Marie is convinced the intruder is her stalker, but really it's just Pooh having a very bad day. Maria suddenly remembers she brought a party popper. A gun with her. But when she and Jessica go to grab it, their little fearsome foursome gets split up like a terrible first date. Meanwhile, Zoe and Alice are off to make a splash in the pool, hoping to lock the back door behind them. But surprise, surprise, Piglet pops up like a bad Tinder match, and Alice goes down for the count. Zoe dives into the pool, channeling her inner Michael Phelps, but Piglet can't seem to get a grip on her with his metal chain. He swaps it for a giant hammer, because who doesn't bring multiple weapons to a pool party, and goes all Aquaman on her. Alice wakes up just in time to witness the horror and face plants back into dreamland. Piglet and Pooh strut out, kidnapping Alice and leaving Zoe's lifeless body behind like a deflated pool float. Jessica and Maria are shocked to see Piglet and Pooh play Capture the Alice, and they decide to give chase like a couple of wannabe Scooby-Doo detectives. In the monster's lair, Alice is tied up like a rodeo calf, while Winnie-the-Pooh's having a honey picnic. When he sees Alice stirring, he goes all slap happy, knocking her out again. You'd think a bear with no pants would be chill, but nah. Jessica and Maria crash the lair, and seeing the coast is clear, they help Alice escape her binds. They're about to leave when they hear a scream. Maria's sensitive soul can't bear to leave anyone behind, so off they go to find Chris, who's hanging out, literally, inside an abandoned cottage. They wake him up and Chris begs them to help a woman outside. The girls rush out, following the screams like it's the world's worst GPS, and find a blonde woman tied up like a present. She claims Pooh and Piglet attacked her, and apparently they can speak English. Who knew? They prefer to work silently though, like evil mime artists. The girls free the woman and they all make a break for it. But then the injured woman catches a glimpse of herself in a mirror, screams at her own reflection, and it's a sad, sad day for narcissus wannabes everywhere. The other girls desperately try to quiet the Scream Queen, but she just keeps belting out her despair like a broken karaoke machine. Eventually, Blondie snags Maria's gun and swears on her collection of trendy avocado socks that she'll avenge the monsters who messed her up. Despite the girls' best efforts to convince her to roll with them, she insists on staying to finish the job. She fires a shot like she's starting a race, and Piglet comes running. The other three friends quickly play hide and seek. Piglet shows up, ready for a showdown with Blondie. She's got her gun pointed at him, but when she tries to shoot, she discovers the gun's emptier than a vegan's fridge. Panicking, she backs into Pooh. After knocking Blondie down, Pooh gives her a facial with his artisanal honey, and Piglet starts nibbling away like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet. The girls make a run for it, and Pooh joins the chase like he's after a Fitbit goal. Meanwhile, Alice has been standing still, channeling her inner ninja. She spots a hammer, and when the opportunity strikes, she lands a killer blow to Piglet's face. Marie and Jessica, realizing they can't turn back to help Alice, bolt into the woods with Pooh hot on their heels. Soon we see Alice has tied up Piglet like he's a piñata. She slaps him and warns he's gonna pay for his bad deeds. Alice claps Piglet to death, and he lets out a moan so loud it gets Pooh's attention. Pooh swings by, attacking Alice and giving her the world's worst tonsillectomy with his machete. Then he's off to chase Marie and Jessica, who are still running like they're late for a Starbucks happy hour. In a stroke of luck, the girls see a car heading their way. A group of hillbillies step out and Marie and Jessica try to recount their ordeal. The men look at them like they've just confessed to owning a flip phone, wondering if they're high. But then they spot Pooh and decide to teach him a lesson. Marie and Jessica seek refuge in the car, warning the guys, but they just roll their eyes. The hillbillies surround Pooh, roasting him harder than a celebrity in a Comedy Central special. They start to beat him up, but Pooh doesn't even flinch. He's like, "Is this all you got?" and proceeds to break their arms with one slap. Then he goes on Mortal Kombat, finishing them off one by one. Pooh heads for the car and Maria decides to play Grand Theft Auto, running him over. But Pooh is one resilient bear and clings to the car like a stubborn bumper sticker. Maria loses control and they crash. Dazed, Maria watches helplessly as Pooh drags Jessica out and gives her a gruesome makeover. Maria does her best to fend him off, but he's just too powerful. Just as Pooh is about to deliver the final blow, Chris swoops in like a superhero and smashes into Pooh with his car, saving Maria. Chris rushes to help Maria while Pooh is wedged between the cars, reevaluating his life choices. Pooh gets his bearings back as Chris helps Maria up. Unfazed, the monster pushes the car aside and grabs his knife. He snatches Maria by the hair, and Chris pleads with Pooh to stop his revenge tour. He promises Pooh he'll be his forced roommate forever. For a moment, Pooh seems to soften, but then he goes full drama queen and says he's out. Then he claps Maria's throat without a second thought. Maria collapses in Chris's arms, and he sobs like he's just binge-watched a sad Netflix series. He walks away with his heart heavier than his Spotify breakup playlist, as Pooh continues to stab Maria's lifeless body. Finally, the film wraps up with Chris escaping into the woods, leaving us to wonder if he's off to find a better script. Moral of the story? What the frick?